Welcome to Live with Lori. Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. This week's topic, we will be talking about Medicaid appeals. I know you guys love Medicaid. We get a lot of engagement and questions on all of our social media platforms about Medicaid. So I know people have a lot of questions. They always want to know the difference between Medicaid and Medicare, and they just want to know how Medicaid can help them. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Medicaid appeals. Hi, Lori.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so let's get started. Well, you wanted to, you like the topic. So what do you love about talking about Medicaid appeals? Or in turn, and you guys, we have at the end, I'll let you know, she wrote a book about Medicaid and that whole process. I'll send you the link as well. I'll post the link as well so you guys could check it out. But you're really passionate about Medicaid and helping people.
What I love about it is that people are getting such insufficient hours from the managed long-term care plans that provide the care under Medicaid that when there's so much room to help people.
Yes.
And people typically don't even know that they're entitled to get more care. They kind of think that they're only allowed to get what the managed long-term care plans tell them they're allowed to get.
Yeah.
So what I like about it is I like educating people about what they could actually receive, which is the amount of care they need.
Yes.
They are entitled to get the amount of care that they need to keep them at home and safe. Now that could be 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
right?
which people don't know. Yeah.
Which people don't know. Some people do, but so many people don't.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, let's just start off with what is a Medicaid appeal and when should one be filed?
So when I'm talking about Medicaid appeals, what I'm talking about is when someone has community Medicaid and they're getting home health aides paid for through Medicaid, New York has a managed care system of providing the care. The managed care plans, managed long-term care plans, we'll call them MLTCs for short, they ultimately are the ones who pay for and provide the care, and ultimately everybody is transitioned into the managed care paradigm, and that's not a fee-for-service paradigm. It's a partial capitation of benefits paradigm. And what that means is the plan gets the same number of dollars per head for everyone on their rolls. And it doesn't matter if they're giving 2 hours or 24 hours a day. They're getting paid the same amount of money for each member on their rolls. So their incentive is very, very strongly to give as little care as possible, as few hours a day as possible. And they do it, I'm going to say, indiscriminately. Mm-hmm. So what typically happens is I'll get a call from someone who got their Medicaid done somehow, some way that didn't involve my office.
Yeah.
We didn't put the care in place because we kind of have a strategy for avoiding that problem from the get-go.
Yes.
But, I'll get a call from someone saying, my mom has 6 hours. We've asked the plan for more. They say she's not entitled to more. She's bedbound. She's blind. She can't walk. She has to have her pants changed every 2 hours. She's incontinent. She has a bed sore. She needs to be repositioned throughout the night.
Yeah.
And the plan will come out. They'll ask the plan to come out and, assess mom for more care. They'll come out, they'll assess her, and they'll say, no, she's got plenty of care.
She's fine.
She's fine. They'll do a it's called a UAS. It's a Uniform Assessment System. It's like a 22-page form where they address all of the various activities of daily living and functionality. And what they usually do is they put it into their system and they come up with some math as to how many hours, how many minutes a day they need. And they said, no, you know, she's getting enough. And, you know, she has incontinence supplies like diapers. So, you know,
figure it out.
She's fine.
Yeah.
For the other 18 hours of the day that she doesn't have a home health aide in place.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, that was actually the next, one of the next questions, which I think you kind of already answered. But if you have any other reasons that you think of, but what are some common reasons for Medicaid and a Medicaid application denial to happen, to occur?
Well, where'd you go? Oh, a Medicaid application denial? That's not really where my appeal conversation is focused. I mean, if there's an application denial, that's a different issue. What?
Yeah, that's
what
what
I'm talking
what
about.
the question. Well, that was the next question. That in terms of what are some common reasons that an application can be denied. Which is kind of,
you know what. Let's keep the focus on where someone has the Medicaid already.
Okay.
Because getting denied, if we have them eligible and it's a proper application, they're really not going to get denied.
Got it.
So that's
not
an issue that we run into typically.
So because everyone,
they're really appealing their hours.
Got it. Okay.
So, so when does this arise? On two occasions. If, let's say, and I'll always talk about mom or dad just to be simple, but
yes.
Let's say mom's condition deteriorates, and now maybe once upon a time the 6 hours that she had was sufficient, but she had a fall or she had a stroke or she had something that caused her to require more care. So, you know, the daughter or whoever her person is would ask the plan, can I get more hours for mom? You know, this, and this happened. And they'll come out, they'll do an assessment, and they'll either say no, or they'll say, well, one more hour, or something like that. So that's one very typical time when the need to appeal arises. Another time is if the managed care plan, they periodically do assessments. And they might come out and assess for their annual assessment, their semi-annual assessment, and say, you know what, she's getting 6 hours a day. She really only needs 5. So next thing you know, the client will get a notice in the mail saying they're reducing her hours. So that's something that we would jump on immediately and take an appeal.
Okay.
So those are really the two situations that we commonly see where we are appealing to either keep our hours or get more appropriate hours. Okay.
Yeah. How long do you have after a Medicaid appeal to? How long do you have after you're denied to process like a Medicaid appeal? Is there a time frame?
Yeah. So there's a time frame, and there's also a pecking order. So if the person is in managed care, which ultimately almost everybody is, they get, let's say we requested an increase. They came out and they assessed, they denied. Then the first thing we have to do if we're going to appeal is we have to do a plan appeal. What that is it's going back to the plan saying, I want to appeal your decision. I want you to reconsider your denial for this, and that reason.
Yes.
Now, I believe we have 60 days to do that. The time frame I like is, 1 day.
Yeah, sooner than later.
Do it immediately. Because 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100 probably is more accurate, they're gonna say, no, we agree with our decision. We believe your mother only needs 6 hours. So we get that out of the way, okay? I don't put a lot of sweat and effort into the plan appeals because their incentive, the same reason why they don't want to give more hours is why they're not going to reverse themselves on appeal. They don't want to pay.
Yeah.
They simply do not want to pay for additional hours for people. So we get that out of the way. We're required to do that first. Then after that, the next possibilities are we can do an external appeal, which is an appeal that we take to the Department of Financial Services. Like if your doctor wanted you to get a procedure and the insurance denied it, the doctor's office would appeal through the Department of Financial Services. That's where insurance appeals go. And for Medicaid, we can also appeal to the Department of Financial Services. And we can get an expedited appeal if we have some documentation from the patient's doctor indicating that, this has to be expedited due to, concerns about the patient's safety or health, which is at risk. So we can actually get a 72-hour appeal. Now,
okay.
And the other alternative is a fair hearing. We could go either way. The reason I prefer to start with an expedited external appeal is if we lose that appeal, we still get another bite at the apple and we can do a fair hearing, and the fair hearing administrative law judge can actually reverse the external appeal reviewer's decision. So I like to set it up so we can get 2 bites at the apple. It's not usually necessary.
Yes.
Now, so I have a whole procedure that I go through to kind of make sure that we preserve the client's rights. Like if it's full care that we need 24-hour split shifts, I want to go through some steps to make sure that we preserve their rights under a particular class action case. Mm-hmm. Put a pin in that. Mm-hmm. So I like the 72-hour external appeal.
Yes.
Now, when I say 72 hours, that is from when I submit the appeal and the Department of Financial Services is satisfied with the submission and sends it over to an independent reviewer to review. They have 72 hours to review it. Now, from when the client hires us until we get to that point, a few things have to happen. I have to get some forms signed and some letters written by their doctor. That doesn't always happen overnight. The doctors don't always love these forms and these letters and whatnot. Not that they don't love them, but they're busy. Mm-hmm. And, doing forms and letters is not their top priority.
Yes. So that's where a delay could take
with
place.
some exceptions. Some are Johnny on the spot, but some you have to kind of chase them down and catch them when they have a minute. So that could be an area of delay. The other thing is I need the written decision denying our plan appeal from the plan before I can submit my my external appeal.
Okay, so you got to wait for that to come. That
Right.
comes in the mail?
Eventually.
Okay.
And no matter how much I jump up and down, email them, send them authorizations, tell the client to call the care manager, no matter how crazy we go trying to get that stuff out of the plan sends that when they're good and ready. And I mean, the sky is the limit on the stories I could tell about trying to extract that letter out of the plan. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Many times I have to do a complaint to the Department of Health, and they have to force the plan to send me the stinking letter.
Wow.
The other thing I need from the plan is their assessment, that 22-page uniform assessment system document. And what that is that's their nurses' work assessing and explaining what the client needs in all these various different areas, their activities of daily living, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So before I can write my appeal, to write my appeal, I want their assessment to rip apart, because their assessment usually makes my case. It literally,
it's not good.
Their assessment will say she needs extensive care with toileting, she needs extensive care with this, with that, the other thing. All of her activities of daily living she needs extensive care with.
It works in your favor.
Right, and yet you're saying that she only needs 6 hours a day.
Yes.
So that's a very important thing that I also have to beg and scream to get the plan to fork over. So, that will take weeks. Mm-hmm. That part of it will typically take weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say.
What would you say from start to finish overall? What's the shortest amount you've been able to do it, and what's the longest amount?
Well, the shortest amount between getting what we need from the doctor, getting what we need from the plan, probably a month.
Okay.
And it's usually longer only because getting what we need from the doctor and getting what we need from the plan.
Yeah.
You have to have your evidence before you can file the appeal. Once I have the evidence, I just need a few days.
Yes.
Same week, I'll get that filed.
Yeah, it's just the process of the paperwork, documentation coming in.
Because once I get it, to me, it's a rush.
Yes.
Right? And it usually is a rush. The person needs the care.
Yeah, you prioritize that.
Often these people are living alone, and they're bedridden.
Wow.
I've had...
So sad.
I can't even tell you the sad cases that I've seen. I have had people who could only eat during the 6 hours a day that the plan was willing to give an aid for.
Wow, because someone would leave.
Yeah, they'd be in the bed. Like, the aide would come, I'm just thinking of one in particular. The aide would come at 11 in the morning and leave at, 5? Mm-hmm. So he couldn't get up and go potty. He couldn't get up and take a shower. He couldn't get up and brush his teeth. Couldn't do any of that.
Wow.
And then the aide would come, 11 o'clock.
The next day.
Right. That's the first time he can get up and have food. And then...
do anything, yeah.
When the aide leaves at 5 o'clock, he's got to be in his bed because she has to put him into his bed.
Horrible.
And really, it's despicable.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're also very passionate about helping people and knowing that there's a better way.
Yeah, and it's very satisfying to be able to get that in place for them.
Of course.
And
these are livelihoods, It's not a way to live,
It's really, some of these situations are so sympathetic, and it's not even necessarily the nurse who goes out there to do the assessment who says, yeah, 6 hours is good for you. It's not really that. They bring the assessment back to the plan.
Yes.
And the plan says, no, 6 hours is good enough.
Yeah, and if you don't ask and fight for it.
Yeah, and usually people don't know. Once the plan tells them no, they think it's no. Eventually they will get that letter, that final adverse determination.
Yes.
And some of them will say, oh, I'm entitled to a fair hearing. Let me do that. But by the time they've gotten turned down, a lot of people feel like, well, I can't get more hours. Mm-hmm. So that's what really irks me.
Yeah, no, it's really sad. In terms of if someone happens to miss a deadline, and what are their options?
That's a problem. If you miss a deadline in requesting an appeal, that is a problem. That you lose the opportunity.
Okay.
Now, what does that mean?
Yes.
Let's say the plan told you no, you didn't file a plan appeal within 60 days, or you did and they said no, and then you didn't file an external appeal within, I think it's 4 months. It's over. You can't do it. But what we can do is we go back and start again. Make a brand new request, okay? Mom needs 24-hour split shifts. Okay. You're only giving her 6. Come out and assess her for 24 hours. Because a person's condition is fluid, right?
Mm-hmm. So you could do another request.
Right. You make a new request, get them out there to do a new assessment, see what their new decision is. Very rarely, but it has happened, the plan will give the hours on the new request. Very rarely, but I've seen it.
Okay.
So then at that point, we'll do, let's say they say no, or they give us another hour a day or something that's not sufficient.
Yeah.
Then we'll do a plan appeal. We'll hound them for their answer, which is often a denial, and then we'll get the wheels turning for, give us your denial letter, give us your uniform assessment, and we'll get the doctor's paperwork in order, and let's go. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the remedy. If they miss the deadline, you're going to start all over again with a brand new request.
So it's not
we have that.
Okay, it's just the process starts all over. It'll take longer, but there is the option to try again.
Right. We just had one like that. I mean, she inadvertently blew the deadline. Mm-hmm. We had to start all over again. First, we had to, hound the plan to get out there and make, do a new assessment. Then they wanted to give themselves more time to make a decision. Then they made a decision, which was no. Then we did a plan appeal. Then they gave themselves an extension in time to decide that. Then they said no. Then blah, 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 blah. A couple of months went by, mm-hmm. and we finally got through to the point where we could file the external appeal. We filed it. 3 days later, she's got 24-hour split shifts.
Amazing.
I mean, yeah.
Because that's the end goal. But, sometimes it's just sad because depending on someone's condition, it's like, I really can't start this over. I can't wait this long. And it's crazy.
That is true.
Yes.
That is really true. And the reason I work so hard and so quickly to get these done is these patients are really suffering.
Yes.
I mean, the people who need 24-hour care and they're only getting 6, they are having a serious problem.
Yes, for them to even require that. It's not like, they're just taking advantage to take advantage.
I've never seen that. In the people that I do appeals for, I've never seen that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how the program looks at it. Like, they don't really need it until they...
Yeah, it's just so not true. The people that I encounter day in and day out are so humble, and they feel like, no, we'll do what we can. The 2 adult children and 4 grandchildren, they'll all take time off work.
We'll figure it out as a family.
Help grandma, blah blah blah. But they're all suffering because they're all losing sleep. They're losing time at work. Mm-hmm. I mean,
or like the stories of the son or the daughter staying up all night to take care of their parents, but they have to go to work.
Then they go to work the next morning. Yeah, and it's like
for long periods of time. I had a friend that went through that just for I think a week because her mom, who's the main caregiver, she was out of town, and she almost, when I saw her, it's like she couldn't function, and she had to travel to Yonkers, over an hour away. She worked here in Nassau County, not sleeping all day, taking care of her father, lifting him up, doing this
and she's probably past midlife herself. I mean,
well, my friend is younger, but I'm thinking of her mom too. Her mom
people my age lifting other adults.
Yes.
All day long, it's not that great.
No, it's not your job. You're not trained to do that.
Yeah, and by and large, I don't hear people complaining. People are humble. People feel obligated to take care of their family. Most people seem to feel that way.
Of course,
and God bless them.
But if you have a professional and you're covered and you're entitled to that,
yeah, seriously. These people are entitled to the care from Medicaid. And,
Yes.
And, these plans don't want to pay. So
Yeah.
it doesn't come down to much more than that.
Yes. Okay. Can you explain the difference between what a fair hearing is and an administrative appeal?
A fair hearing is an administrative appeal.
Okay.
It's conducted by an administrative law judge, and these days they're doing them telephonically, which is really good because they back in the day before COVID, they were all done in downtown Brooklyn, and you're really spending the day there.
Yes, I could imagine.
Yeah, the fair hearing office over there, it's funny. You're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and when you have to go to the bathroom, you actually have to ask the guard at the front of the room for a roll of toilet paper because they don't keep toilet papers in the bathroom.
Why?
Well, what they say is, well, people steal it. Like, really?
Oh my gosh.
Like, seriously?
That sounds like from government.
Anyway,
Facility.
Yeah, it hasn't been a very pleasant ordeal.
Yes,
but,
I don't think anything with those facilities
yeah,
are.
And now
like
they
the DMV and
do it over the phone.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
So that is much better.
Having virtual options.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
but so a fair hearing is an administrative hearing. If you lose at a fair hearing, then your next option, if you choose to take it, is to commence an action in Supreme Court under Article 78.
Okay.
And that is complaining that the administrative law judge, I want to say, abused their discretion or something like that. So that's actually an action in court.
And that's like usually the end all be all, the last
Well,
step.
and typically...
How often have you had to go?
Never.
Okay.
Typically we win.
Okay, yes.
And, I say that with a smirk on my face, but we do typically win.
That's what you're known for, winning.
and if we didn't, and the client wanted to do that, they could. But, when you get into doing a court action, it doesn't happen fast. Mm-hmm. And they're paying, at that point, they're paying hourly for legal fees. And,
yes.
It's kind of impractical. I mean, there have been Article 78s,
yes.
It's a thing. But generally speaking, we don't have to get to that point. And the other thing is, with this situation, let's say, for the sake of argument, we went through all the steps and we still lost. We look at, by then, some time has gone by. What's mom's condition now? Has it deteriorated more? Should we start with a brand new request? Mm-hmm. We can always go back to the beginning and start over, which, in my opinion, is more cost effective and faster than commencing a court action.
Got it.
So, that just as a practical matter.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I did want to end on, if you wanted to speak a little bit about the article you wrote on appeals.
I did in the Elder and Disability Law Journal, which is our section of the New York State Bar Association. I did do an article on the appeals process, and if anybody wants a copy of it, how can they reach us?
Anywhere on our socials, you can leave a comment, or you can call the office, just whatever social media platform you're watching us on right now. Just go to our bio and all the information will be there. You can give us a call, you can email us, you can comment below, you can
so they know how to reach us, is what you're saying.
Yes, we're on, all of our information, contact information is on the platform that you're watching. So you can reach out. We'd love to send you that, maybe even, send you a copy of our Medicaid book.
Yeah, and I also get into the appeal process a little bit in the book, too. So if you want either one of those items, reach out to us. We'll send you a copy.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, reach out for a consultation we can do with
Yeah,
you guys.
and these things aren't even really for the purpose of teaching you how to do it yourself, because it may or may not even be worth trying to figure out, honestly. But
you want to do it right.
Yeah, it'll give you a sense of what the process looks like.
Exactly. That's why you wrote the book. That's why you wrote the article, to
Right.
give information. So.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you guys.
So.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, feel free to reach out. Please like, comment, share, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you guys. Bye. We're still on.